Okay, everybody, squeeze your hands together as hard as you can for 4 minutes. 4 long minutes. Ready? Somebody set a timer. Okay, go. It was the 4th day of jury deliberations and the 4th week of a long, grueling trial. And as I followed my fellow jurors' instructions and saw the others doing the same, I realized how exhausted we all looked. No, that's not right. Haunted. We all looked haunted. And believe me, I'd become familiar with that look. All those gruesome sights and sounds of death and destruction that had just followed me for weeks with this trial, they were there as my constant companion. When I closed my eyes at night, when I slept, they nipped at my heels as I walked up the stairs. Honestly, though, one of the most troubling images didn't even come from the testimony. Early on, we were bused to the house to check out the scene of the crime. We got to walk in one by one, and as I stepped into that small, dark kitchen and let my eyes adjust from that bright autumn sun, I peered down the stairs to the basement where it had all happened. But then I realized I wasn't alone. Standing in the corner was a man just scowling at me, not saying anything, clearly unhappy. As the new homeowner, I was reminding him of his house's traumatic past. And what bothered me most that morning when I looked at my fellow jurors is that we all shared that same haunted expression. And I knew we too were not soon going to be cleansed of that trauma. Keep squeezing, someone said. The day before, we had decided that the defendant was guilty of causing the death of her spouse. And that day we were there to determine whether it was manslaughter or murder. And now the judge had told us that manslaughter was an impulsive act, a heat-of-the-moment kind of thing, whereas murder took some sort of premeditation. And she had said it didn't need to be planning, but it could simply be whether somebody has the time to pause and reconsider their actions. And I think most of us that morning thought it was manslaughter. There was just so much pain and abuse. You could see how it happened. Your spouse came home from working all night. It's cold, it's dark, and you start arguing, because there's plenty to argue about. And there's also a history of physical violence. So what starts out small, hey, why'd you say that? Hey, who was that person? Well, it just starts to grow, and it grows, and it grows, and it grows, and you find yourself at the top of those same stairs. And you've got a choice. You could run down and say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Let me help you up. Please forgive me. But you know what you just did? You can't take that back. And what you just did, it can be used against you. So you have another choice. And maybe you see this as your chance to be free. Several jurors that morning challenged us to put our hands together and squeeze as hard as we could for 4 long minutes. You see, that's how long we'd been told it takes to strangle somebody. 240 seconds. Is that time enough to stop and reflect? Time enough to pause and reconsider and think, maybe I should stop squeezing this person I love or once loved. Soon thereafter, I stuck my head out, told the court officer, we were done. Really, he said, after 2 mistrials? I was nervous when I walked down that long hallway into the courtroom, past the TV cameras, the reporters, the families, and I handed that judge that sheet of paper with our verdict on it. She looked down, she looked at me, and she nodded and asked me how we, the jury, found the defendant. And boy, my heart was pounding when I looked that defendant in the eye. For the first time that entire trial. But then I thought of that choice she had made, and I thought of those 4 long minutes, and I looked at her with resolve and said, we, the jury, find you guilty of murder in the 1st degree.